A quick introduction for myself. My name is Teresa Melendez. I'm the College Success Coach with the American Indian College Fund's Native Pathways to College program. And I work with my colleague, Leah, who just came to the stage. And so together with another coworker, Jackie, she's gonna come to the stage too. We help support students in college prep, college success, and even career prep. And so Leah works with tribal college transfer students. I work with students who are already at a mainstream institution or a TCU working on their bachelor's degree. And then Jackie works with school college choice program. We wanted to be able to, we created a series of fall educational shindigs and events for fall 2019. One, to promote and share information about our Native Pathways College Going Guidebook. There's a link to the guidebooks on our website. You can download them for free, print as many as you want. They're a resource that we've created to make available to specifically designed for Native students in high school, but it's a good resource, even students who are in college, or it's also good for parents, guidance counselors. Those, it can be used by a lot of different people for a lot of different purposes. And so today's topic is one of the topics from the guidebook, and we just wanted to elaborate on that because each one of these chapters could be a whole guidebook on its own. So, all right, I'm going to pass it over to Leah, and I want to ask Leah to go ahead and introduce herself. And then Emily, I'm going to bring you up, and Jackie, I'm going to bring you up to introduce yourselves too. Okay, Leah, go ahead.
Hello everyone, I'm the Tribal College Transfer Coordinator at the American Indian College Fund, and basically what I do is I help tribal college students transition from their tribal college into four-year institutions to get a bachelor's degree. And so basically, I provide tools, I provide resources to make your transition as seamless as possible. I currently work with 12 tribal colleges throughout the United States, providing coaching, mentoring, resources, and connecting to staff at universities, as well as helping students to transition into our first year experience program. But I'm really honored to be here today, so thank you for having me.
All right, so next I'd like to invite Jackie to the podium to introduce yourself. There we go. You just have to unmute yourself, Jackie. You're on mute. All right, while you're doing that.
Oh my goodness.
There you are. There you are.
I was clicking the little mute button, but it wasn't working too well. So good morning, everyone. My name is Jackie Demko. I'm a college admissions coach here at the College Fund. I work with Teresa and Leah on the Native Pathways to College team. I specifically work on the high school college choice team. And so my role is working with high school students, and I help to do a few things. I help high school students realize their college options. So whatever that looks like, if it's a TCU, if it's a mainstream college, if it's getting their associate's degree or bachelor's degree, figuring out what their academic path looks like. I help them with financial literacy, so access to scholarships and other resources to help them be successful in that path to college. And then just providing resources and coaching to make sure that they are successful in getting to college. And then Leah takes that different pathway for tribal college transfer, and Teresa takes that college success pathway. And so we help students along their academic journey at any point in time. But I'm the first face you might see if you're in high school.
Thank you, Jackie. Now I'm going to bring on Emily. Emily, if you could please introduce yourself.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for having me. My name is Emily Ferguson Steger. I'm the Director of Undergraduate Admissions at the University of Montana. The University of Montana is situated at the heart of the Rocky Mountains at the convergence of three rivers and in the traditional homes of the Salish people. The University of Montana is a mid-sized institution with an embedded 2-year, 4-year, and a more year institution. So I get to experience the educational journey of many students, both those who start at tribal colleges and then those who come directly to the University of Montana or 2-year Missoula College. So I'm happy to be here and joining you all today.
Thank you, Emily. I met Emily just a couple months ago at the Montana Colleges Conference. And when we were planning this event, I was like, I need a native admissions officer to share some tips. And then I was like, oh, Emily would be perfect. Bubbly, vibrant, in the field. She's been in the field for quite a few years. So happy to have you with us today.
Thank you.
So what we wanted to do, I'm going to bring Leah on next to share a little bit more information about the Native Pathways College Program. And then we're going to jump into the meat of the presentation. We're going to share a little bit, Jackie's going to share a little bit about choosing a college. As a high school college coach, she works with high school students and preparing them for college. And so choosing a college is an important topic that she regularly talks to students about. So she's going to take that. And then I'm going to bring Emily on to share some expert advice, some things that behind the scenes advice, things you need to know that you might not find in our guidebook or you might not find through a Google search. So any advice like for Native students specific also, that would be excellent. And then after that, we're going to jump back in and we're going to talk about planning a campus visit. And then again, we'll bring Emily back on to share some of the expert advice again. And then we'll end with questions and answers. But at any time, if you have any questions, feel free to click the raise hand button and take care of your question immediately. All right, so Leah, I'm going to bring you online. And Emily, I'm going to stop your broadcast and I'm going to bring Leah online. There you go.
Okay, so we all work for the American Indian College Fund. And if you don't know or you're not familiar with our organization, we were founded in 1989 by tribal college presidents to fulfill a need for tribal college students. They didn't have funding, they didn't have scholarships. And so these tribal college presidents came together to fundraise scholarships for Native students. And so over the years, the program has started to expand its resources and services, and among those is it's called Student Success Services. And so in our department, we cover scholarships. Last year, we had about 9,000 students apply, and we were able to fund about 6,000 of them, about $7.2 million. And so when you hear about the American Indian College Fund, you'll think of us in terms of scholarships, but a lot of people don't know that we also have a lot of other services and programs in place to help Native students succeed while they're in college. And so one of those is Native Pathways to College. And basically, we are a college access program. And so what that means is we're trying to create a college-going environment in Indian country. The program is three-pronged. And so we have a high school program. We have the tribal college transfer program, which I coach the students. And we also have our college success program. And so over time, you will see these events come up more often because we are trying to, we are taking on a new initiative of digital coaching. And so, really helping Native students have access to resources to make college more accessible for them. But again, I said, I'm really honored to be here and I love doing this stuff, and I'm really happy to see everyone in the audience today. But if you have any questions about our organization or the services and resources that we provide, at the end of this webinar, you'll have the opportunity to ask questions. So make sure that you jot it down, and when that time comes that you ask the questions so we can get you your answers. And with that, I'm gonna pass it back over to Teresa.
Okay. Thank you for your patience as we're learning this new platform. I know it's a little clunky, so thank you for your patience. Next, I'd like to bring Jackie back onto the stage. And Jackie, if you can share some information about how to choose a college, we'd appreciate it. And while Jackie's coming online, unmuting herself, I just want to add to one thing that Leah said, and thank you for sharing the background about the Pathways program. I just want to plug the college one more time. The mission of the American Indian College is to help increase the number of Native American college graduates. And anytime we get it to go out in the community and provide support to Native communities and to Native students, and even Native faculty and staff at ECU's institutions, I feel that we are really blessed to be in a position where we're able to support so many students, and the College Fund really does amazing work. So if you want to learn more about the College Fund, you can visit us at collegefund.org, and then from there, click on Student Services and then Native Pathways, and you'll find a little bit more about the Native Pathways program quickly. But I'm going to pass this over to you. Thank you.
Hey guys, Jackie here again. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about choosing a college. And so I just put up a flyer on the screen that you can see. It says College Choice, and it has 4 directions on it. And so you'll see in the 4 quadrants: family, affordability, belonging, and personal. And so you'll have access to this flyer if you want to refer to it later on. Before I really start talking about that flyer, I think it's important to realize you can read this flyer and in a group of people, and everybody interprets these things differently. We're all individuals. We all have different personal needs. And so that's the most important thing to remember when you're considering college. What works best for you? What are your needs? So if we're going to talk about family, so maybe you're really close with your family and going to school, it's important to you to be close to your family. And so you want to take that into consideration when you're looking at campuses. How far from, maybe you're going to live with your family, or maybe you want to live close to them. Maybe you're like, I don't want to really live with them, but I want to, be able to visit them regularly. So that's a huge consideration when you're looking at colleges. If you're okay with talking to them on the phone, or maybe through Skype, you want to make sure that you're going to attend a college that has, for example, good Wi-Fi, or maybe has a coffee shop that you can regularly go to, or has cell phone service, right? So those are the things that you want to keep in your mind in terms of family. And then on the contrary, maybe you really want to just get away from your family for a little while. Which is okay. And so again, that's just something to consider, how close or how far you want to be from your family, and the access that you want to have to visit them. And so we can segue over into affordability, and in connection with your family, if you're going to live on campus and maybe be, say, a few hours away from them, but you can drive to and from where you live, you have to consider the cost associated with that. So how much is gas? And so that's one component of affordability if you're going to be traveling. Or maybe you will go so far away that you have to fly, and maybe you want to fly a few times a year. So maybe you would consider going someplace closer if you want to travel back and visit your family. But also in terms of affordability, there are so many costs associated with college. So, tuition, food, room and board. So where are you going to live? Are you going for your associate's degree? So you need to budget for 2 years of tuition. Are you going for your bachelor's degree? So you need to budget for 4 years of tuition. Did you get scholarships? Did you apply for scholarships? Are you going to plan to look for more scholarships as you progress through school? Also, another consideration, are you planning to work while you're in school? So work study is a great option for that. But so affordability, there are tons of hidden costs associated with college. Some colleges are really upfront about it. And some colleges, you kind of have to dig through the weeds to figure that out. And Teresa's probably going to refer back to this, but in our guidebook, we actually have a budget activity that will help you determine the best college for you in terms of affordability. But I don't want to keep talking. I want to move into the other quadrants so I can speak to these other components. So one of the other components is belonging. And so as a Native American individual, it's important to me that I feel accepted and I feel comfortable in a space to, wear certain clothing, wear certain regalia. And that's important to other people as well, and to partake in particular ceremonies. And so you want to make sure that the college that you attend or are thinking about attending can cater to your personal needs. If you like to dance and go to powwows, or if you like to sweat, where you go and the community that college or that campus is a part of will help to shape you and your involvement in those activities. And if it's close to home, that's great, because then you can probably partake in those same activities that you've been participating in for many years. But if you move far away from home, it's important to make sure that if those things are important to you, you can still participate in them as you're, in a new place, in a new environment. Because if you change your whole lifestyle and move to an area where you just suddenly can't participate in those things, it's a lifestyle shift, and it can be very challenging. But so we have some questions there that will help you in determining if a campus could cater to you. And also another thing to consider, I'm talking too much, but is if that campus has Native American clubs or Native American support centers where you can utilize those services as well to help you feel that sense of belonging. You're not just a number. How you feel matters. And we want you to be physically and mentally well so that you can do well at school. And then the last thing I want to mention, which ties into all of those three quadrants, the family, affordability, and belonging, is personal. So we're all individuals. We all have personal needs and differences. And so make sure that you can listen to what I say. You can listen to what your family, your guardians, your friends say. But what truly matters is what you want. Because there's a college out there for you. There's a degree program out there for you. So make sure that you pay attention to what you really want. And if you don't know what you want, then ask your friends, ask your family, ask Teresa, Leah, and myself. We're coaches. We're here to help you guys in this educational journey because there are so many unknowns. This is what we do. We love to help people figure out where to go to school so that they can be successful in that part of their path.
Yay, thank you. Don't mute yourself yet, because I just wanted to add to the conversation, and Shanita, I'm more actually too. I really like your advice on when you're researching the school to research and see if there's a Native American club, or sometimes a lot of universities, larger universities, will have a couple Native student organizations. Sometimes there's the American Indian or Indigenous Student Organization. There's often American Science and Engineering Society. Sometimes they have a Native American Hispanic Business Student Association, NABS. Sometimes there's ABLE, the American Indian Business Leader Association. Sometimes there's a language club. There's a lot of different student organizations that the university might have. Another thing you can look for are American Indian Studies, associates, bachelor's, and masters, PhDs in Indigenous American Indian Studies. Also, I encourage looking into CSU University has Native American Indian staff. So what I like exploring universities, if it's important to you that the university you attend has a large student population, or if you want to see Indigenous topics, you're going to want to see if they have an American Indian Studies program. So go to the university's website. So if you were checking out Emily's school, go to the University of Montana website. In the search bar, type American Indian or Native American or Native and see what comes up. If it populates, then you know that that's an institution that's not actively working to recruit Native students. That's a good tip right there. And then, but you can look for things with scholarships. I also encourage people to look for Native specific scholarships. So I just want to add that to that. And then I also really like when you brought up the how you were really how important is that this decision is a personal decision. Sometimes influenced or influenced, like, well, my mother went to this school and she expects me to attend that same school. And sometimes that's a good fit. Ultimately, it comes down to whatever is best for you and where you know you need to be. And that's going to lead to campus visits, how a campus visits help you make that decision. But before we head that way, I want to bring Emily on. Jackie, any last thoughts?
Yes, the last pro tips is, I was just going to say, refer to our guidebook, but you can take advice from myself, from Teresa, from Emily, which I'm sure is going to be awesome. But the best place to get information is from students that currently attend college. They've seen things firsthand, and they might be closer to your age, and they're going to be able to give you some really good advice.
Yep, great point. And another great person to talk to at whatever institution you're looking at is an admissions officer. So we're so lucky we have an admissions officer with us. So the admissions officer can tell you all the stats and the wonderful things about that institution. And so I'm going to share the spotlight. I'm going to take myself down. I'm going to take Jackie down. And Emily, we're going to give you the stage. So absolutely, our students need to know when they're thinking about which college is right for them.
Totally agree with what everyone else has presented. Jackie, that was amazing. I think that it is very, very important, especially from an admissions counselor representative's point of view, that a student is either informing themselves from the website or asking those questions. It's really challenging when we're giving a presentation or out at someone's school, or perhaps even tabling, when folks come up and just say, tell us about your school. That is a really challenging question. Now, it's a good baseline question, but a challenging question because we don't have an idea necessarily of what the student is looking for. And so a lot of times what I encourage students to do is just a little homework ahead of time. If you happen to know you're going to a college fair, or if you know a college representative is coming to your institution, jot down a couple of questions that are important to you in regards to the school that's coming to visit. So some of the things that were already mentioned: how many Native American or American Indian organizations do you have on campus? Do you have scholarship programs for both enrolled members as well as descendants? Are there specific scholarships that might be incoming or awarded to a student entering the institution versus a continuing student? These are all really important questions, and it depends on where you are in the process, what type of question you might ask. And so a couple of things that I do encourage students to do early, and this could even be as freshmen and sophomores in high school, is to start looking to your peers. Start connecting with those juniors and seniors if you aren't already, because they're going to take this first step ahead of you. And so connecting with those upperclassmen who are going to graduate, who are going to be in the institutions that you might have questions about or questions about their transition is vitally important. Your peers are some of the most trusted individuals in your lives. And so speaking to them about their experiences and even asking those questions, what would you have done differently if you were going to do it again? It allows you to get some really, really beneficial knowledge about the transition into higher education or the transition from one institution of higher education into another institution. A couple things that I like to remind students all the time is that admissions personnel really like to answer students' questions, but sometimes we don't hear the whole question. And so if you feel like you've received an answer back, either in email form or in person or over the phone that you go, I don't think that's what I was trying to ask, feel free, and please do re-ask that question. I always like to tease, when I transferred from a tribal college to the University of Montana, I went to the financial aid department and I had a question on the amount of funding I was receiving. And they got to the part that they talked about the EFC and I went, KFC chicken. I'm really excited about that. Had no idea what I was talking about, didn't know what they were talking about, but left thinking about chicken. What I would challenge you to do is not to be like me, not just to take that little tidbit of information that I didn't understand and walk away going, maybe this isn't the right place for me, but to either restate your question or, in my case, would have been really nice is for me to walk to our American Indian Student Service office and actually pose that question to the support folks that were in that office, because they would have been able to say, Emily, EFC has nothing to do with chicken. It has nothing to do with Kentucky Fried Chicken. And you probably need to go and ask your question again. They would have also sent someone with me as an advocate to help me ask those questions. The other component that I always like to stress to students is that it's really important as you meet with admissions personnel, as you go for your visit, as you're exploring the websites. This is a lot of information being given to you all in a short amount of time. Feel free to take your own time and at your own speed digest the information. But when you do have questions, reach back out to that institution that you've been exploring or visiting with to pose those questions. Not only will we be able to give you more information about the questions that you might have, and most likely help demystify a lot of things that are on the website, because there's big terms and they may or may not mean the same thing from institution to institution. But the other side is it really builds a rapport with the institution that you're looking to go to. The more touches that you have provided the admissions office, the more your name comes to the front of our minds as scholarship opportunities come open. I actually just hired 3 students who had met through the recruitment process and then saw again at orientation, because I know them and I know the quality of work they can do. So think about this as an opportunity not to only investigate the schools you're interested in, but also for you to invest in those schools prior to you actually enrolling.
And that's why we invited Emily on this shindig event today. A wealth of information. Thank you, Emily. I hope we met this summer. Guys, we have about 8 people on the Shindig event with us. I want to encourage you to go ahead and click on that little question mark icon. If you have a question for Emily on choosing a college, go ahead and type it in and send it over, and I will broadcast your question, and so Emily can answer it. All right. I'm going to spotlight. Here's our first question. And that's your question.
Ask the question.
Yeah.
Okay, Emily. So my question is Does the University of Montana have a Native American tuition waiver? And if so, how can I make myself eligible to receive this waiver?
Wonderful question. So the University of Montana, as well as all Montana University System schools, does participate in something called the American Indian Tuition Waiver. The tuition waiver has been granted to those students who can prove that they're a Montana resident for tuition purposes. So for all intents and purposes, if you graduate from a Montana high school, you are a Montana resident. We are looking for a student to have a quarter combined blood quantum. They do not need to be an enrolled member of a federally recognized tribe, but they do need to have a combined quarter quantum from federally recognized tribes. This can also be Canadian, and that they have $1 of financial aid eligibility. So you do need to complete the FAFSA. You do need to demonstrate $1 of need. Now, these monies are granted to the Native American, American Indian, Alaskan Native students in repatriations of lands lost or taken by the Montana or by the state of Montana. And so that is given to any student who qualifies at our 1, 2, 3, 4-year programs, as well as our graduate programs, with the exception of law school. They are the only ones that do not have an American Indian tuition waiver, but we do have a Native law program. So with a small program, it's a competitive program.
Awesome. Thank you for that question, Leah. And I should add that we know from the feedback that we receive from our students that financing one's higher education is the biggest deterrent and concern. And so when researching universities, definitely look at schools or states that offer Indian tuition waivers. So the Montana system offers Indian tuition waivers. The state of Michigan offers an Indian tuition waiver. I'm from Michigan. I'm Potawatomi from Michigan, and I went to Michigan State University. So I received a teaching certificate in Ojibwe language from Bay Mills Tribal College, a bachelor's in sociology, and a master's in higher adult and lifelong education. It was all on Indian tuition waiver. And so that helped me decide where I was going for undergrad and graduate school. Affordability was a huge factor for me. So when you can just Google American Indian tuition waivers. And so I know Montana has one, Michigan has one, University of Minnesota Morris, and Fort Lewis. They all have Indian tuition waivers. And same with Michigan, similar to Montana, similar situation. And that land grant institutions, so institutions that accepted land from the state are the schools that offer that tuition waiver as reparations for receiving land that may not have was not taken on honest terms. Yes. Okay. So that would, if I don't see any more questions, if anybody has any questions, feel free at any time, click on that little question mark icon. I'll either publish it to the screen or bring you to the stage to answer your question, and we can answer it right away. So next, let's pop over to start talking about campus visit. So Emily's awesome, all that great information. And so next we're talking about how to help you solidify that decision. And so with the Native Pathways team, we highly encourage students to take advantage of a campus visit. And I guess I should back up and talk about what I mean with a campus visit. So a campus visit, that term is referred to visiting a tribal college, a community college, or a university to explore that institution as a possibility for your future studies for higher education. So usually what you would do is you would call an admissions officer, you'd call somebody like Emily. First thing, you'd go to the website with whatever institution you're interested. If you're interested in University of Montana, I'd go to University of Montana's website. I'd click on admissions, depending what type of student you are, a transfer student, an undergrad, a graduate student, and then you're gonna find an admissions officer that covers your area, either by state or region. And then go ahead and call them or email them, and you can set up a campus visit through their office. I want to encourage you not to be intimidated by calling the university. I've talked to a lot of students where it feels scary to them. And sometimes, Leah or Jackie or Shonda or I, we can help be a liaison, help with scheduling those campus visits, help with those phone calls. Sometimes we're on a 3-way call with our students. But I want to remind you that admissions officers like Emily want you to call them. Like she mentioned, the more that she hears from you, the more that your name sticks with her. Then when opportunities arise, she can plug you for those opportunities. But know that folks like Emily are looking for Native students. A lot of institutions are intentionally want to increase their Native student numbers. And so absolutely they are excited when Native students are calling and emailing and absolutely scheduling campus visits. When you schedule a campus visit, you're going to schedule it through the admissions office, and they'll give you a tour of the university. If they know what major you're interested in pursuing, you can tack on a stop often to, like, if you were interested in education, you want to visit the College of Education, that's a great thing to add to your trip. So you can see the college, the building where you would probably be spending most of your time, maybe even meet with an instructor. I always make it a point to meet with a faculty member in that college so that you can learn a little bit more about their program. But a must is if they have a Native student coordinator, Indigenous student support service coordinator, or if that institution has an American Indian Studies program, if they have Native student organizations, I would reach out to those folks. And so schedule a meeting. The Native student coordinator, they will be so happy you're coming because they're trying to increase their Native student numbers that usually Native student coordinators will roll out the red carpet for you. Those, maybe you guys will, you'll probably stop by their office and then meet some other Native students. If you can schedule a campus visit around an event happening on campus, like maybe around the time of the powwow or Native American Heritage Month, or even like football game if you're into sports or an athletic event, then you can get a more richer feel for the university. But one thing you're definitely want to do is you want to schedule your campus visit while classes are in session. So during the fall semester or spring semester, we don't recommend campus visits during the summer because most students aren't on campus and you don't have a realistic perspective of what it would really be like to be a student at that institution. So definitely schedule your campus visits if you're a high school senior, you want to schedule it before you're applying so that you can use this process to help narrow down the number of schools that you're applying to, which can save you some money. And then I think those are the main things I wanted to hit. Yes, and then we have an awesome video that I'm going to share, and I'm going to bring Emily back on. So my coworkers, Davida and Orville, made a campus visit video about 2 years ago. They were visiting the University of Denver University. And so I think we might have to pause the video, Jack. The sound quality isn't very strong. I'm going to tell you where you can find the video. So if you go to collegefund.org and then click on Native Pathways, the video is listed on our website. And then you watch, it's about 4 minutes long. It's a good video, but Davida and Orville actually walk you through the steps of scheduling and a campus visit and then places to visit that you can do while on campus. Trying, Jackie.
Hi, guys.
Right. So I'm going to bring Emily back to the screen here. All right. So Emily, what did I miss? Fill in the gaps.
One of the things that I would suggest is with today's technology, if you can utilize it, most visit processes are now done directly from the website. This really empowers you as the prospective student to arrange the day that really fits your schedule. So for example, at the University of Montana, you can go to our umt.edu site and type in the word visit, and it'll bring you up to a visit day or a visit page. On that visit page, you're going to see a couple different options. You will see that you can do an individual visit. That perhaps is with you and some friends or your family so that you can come and explore. With that, you'll get a tour of campus. You'll sit with an admissions counselor and talk about the admissions process at the University of Montana, but also about the university as a whole. And then lunch on us, because it's vitally important if you're going to go to any college or university that you test out their food. The second option that schools like the University of Montana has is a larger group experience. So we have something here at the university called UM Days. That is a fancy term basically for an open house. During these open house preview days, you and maybe your friends could come down. Generally, the program starts at 9 a.m. and it ends or culminates about 3 or 4 in the afternoon. Within that, you're going to have the opportunity to see all of the different residence halls. You're going to have a panel of students that speaks to you. You're going to meet with an academic department if you would like to. You'll learn about a lot of the services on a college campus in a really predetermined day with a schedule set forth for you. Most of those schedules can be found directly online, so you can see if it meets your needs. And then schools like the University of Montana have personalized visit dates that are one step above an individual visit, one step above a group visit, and they're called things like Grizz for a Day. Well, that's the University of Montana's because we're the Grizzlies. And Grizz for a Day is a one-on-one visit where you're going to come, you're going to sit in on a class, you're going to meet with an academic professor in the area of study that you're looking to go into. You're going to have the opportunity to sit down with students from that department and have lunch with them. And so it's incrementally different steps that you can take each year of high school maybe, so that you really are learning about the different schools and organizations that you're thinking about going into after high school. Now, one of the things is that distance and costs are always there. At the University of Montana, all of our programs are free once you get to campus. So I always like to say there's a little asterisk, because free does mean coming perhaps a ways away, staying overnight in a hotel, maybe even 2 nights in a hotel. So something to think about. The University of Montana does have one summer program, but as the suggestion was given, a lot of times that type of program is good for a second visit. This is an opportunity in the summer, something called Grizz Night, where you actually will spend the night in one of our residence halls. So you really get that feeling of what a college visit really is like, but also what college is like at all hours of the day. One of the things I do suggest to all of you thinking about doing college visits is to think about your visit as, yes, it's academic, and yes, you want to make sure they have the major fields that you're interested in. And if you don't know what you want to study, that is absolutely okay. However, the college visit is also about your fit, as it's been mentioned a couple of times, because in general, if you're going to a semester school, you're going to take 15 credits a semester. In basic terms, that means you're going to be in the classroom for 15 hours every single week. On top of that, you'll probably have about 2 hours of homework for every 1 hour you're in the classroom. That means your life of 45 hours for the whole week, that includes Saturday and Sunday, is in an academic classroom or an academic setting. That also means that 3/4 of your life is going to be things outside of the academic classroom. So when you're going to visit a college campus or a university, please make sure that you're looking at all of those things that you would be interested in doing outside of those academic classrooms. And that's why making visits or going to a campus visit, whether a large program, an individual visit, or a personalized visit, is really important in your college seeking process.
Awesome. Emily, when do you recommend students start planning campus visits?
Great question. I always say earlier is better. A lot of times schools bring students out, especially our TRIO or our AVID, our Talent Search schools will come out freshman and sophomore year. So I really encourage students at the latter part of their sophomore and then going into their junior year to start exploring schools. Now, if you can't go and visit every school that you're interested in, contact the school. A lot of times we have ways to digitally connect with students and their families so that cost is not as big of an issue. It doesn't give the exact same experience, but it gives a very close, similar experience.
And now some schools even have virtual college or virtual campus tours.
Absolutely. Most schools have a virtual campus tour. Ours we're working on a platform. Some are much better than others. The other thing is with technology, a lot of schools will connect you with a student that would be willing to do a little walkthrough. And so it may be even connecting to another native student on a college campus to do a little walkthrough of what their day is like.
And to help make campus visits more affordable, I know folks who have wrapped in their family vacations into a campus tour where even they start like in middle school or high school. And so if you are, or like powwow, so like if you're visiting Stanford powwow, then you can schedule a campus tour the day before the powwow starts. So another more cost-effective way of squeezing in those campus visits by multi-purposing the trip with something like a family trip, or if there's a reason why you're going out to that area.
Correct. And I would encourage, if anyone is at a school, to also look at what opportunities for big group visits look like the day of an event or the day before an event. We actually have one of our large preview days built in for the Friday before our powwow, which is the largest student-run powwow in the nation. And so we really try to bundle that for schools so that they can bring a busload of students down, learn about the university, and then go right into the powwow.
When's your powwow? I want to go to your powwow.
Oh, that's in April.
April? Put on my calendar. Another thing is a lot of universities have summer programs, like summer bridge programs, summer Native youth leadership programs. And so that's another great opportunity for high school students who want to explore that institution, but it's also a good college prep activity to incorporate into your high school career also.
Absolutely.
Awesome. All right. I think those were, thank you. Thank you for those tips. Oh my gosh, we're like 7 minutes to noon. So I want to open up the floor for questions. If anybody has any questions at this time, please click on the little question mark or the raise hand. If you raise your hand, I'll bring you up to the podium and you can ask Emily, Leah, Jackie, or myself a question directly. Also, Leah has typed the web address for the campus visit YouTube video. So if you'd like to check out the full video, it's a cute little video. If you have 4 minutes, I recommend checking it out. That's that web address. And I don't have any other questions. I'll give you 1 more minute if anybody has any questions, or you can also click on anybody's icons and you can direct message them. You can IM them directly. So if you have a question for Emily or Jackie or Leah or any of the participants in the shindig, you can communicate with them directly. So if we don't have any questions, I'm going to bring Jackie to the floor. She has a question. There we go.
So this question is for you, Emily. So when I went on my campus tour, it was really shy and I didn't ask any questions, but I had a ton of questions. So what advice would you give to me or maybe some of our viewers that were like similar to me to kind of overcome that obstacle or that barrier?
That is a wonderful question. I tease all the time that I am very gregarious and have lots of things to say, especially around my friends, but in an unknown group of people, I love the flower on the wall syndrome. So one of the things that I suggest to students all the time is to type out their top 5 or 10 questions, print it and then take it to their campus visit. The reason that you do this, you don't even have to put your name on it. If you hand that to the admissions counselor who's talking to you, it will allow them to read over those questions and to make sure that they are touching on those in your admissions presentation. The other person that I really encourage students to give these questions to is the tour guide. I think one of the most inspirational but nerve-wracking components of a college visit is the tour, because you're taking in everything, but you have all these questions, and sometimes the tour moves a little quickly, and sometimes there are louder people in the group. And so if you type out your questions, again, trying to really synthesize that down to 5 really important questions, or maybe 10 questions, it empowers you to have your questions answered without you actually asking them out loud.
If you're unsure of what, sometimes you don't know what you don't know. And so you don't even know what questions to ask. There's a simple solution. Google. You can Google, what questions should I ask on a campus tour? They're also in our guidebook. Thank you, Jackie. And another great resource, I really enjoy YouTube. There's a lot of great YouTube videos on like young professionals who are in college. They're YouTubers who are in college or have just recently graduated college. Like I like Cather Out, pretty much vlogged her entire like high school, college prep, and college career, and she's got tons of great videos on, you know, roommate conflicts and how to choose a class and what financial apps can you use, what apps can you use to help get you through college and things like that. So take it, and there's also really good podcasts. So if you want to do your own research, or if you're parents, a lot of times parents want to help, but they don't know how to help you, and they don't want to step on the student's toe. But if you tell your parents or your aunties or your grandparents, whoever that person is that's supporting you in this process, if you tell them how they can help you, they'll probably go above and beyond your request. And so they can do some research for you also. Also, if they want to help with scholarships, that takes a bit of time. I would totally enlist help there. So Emily, what are your thoughts on meeting with the financial aid officer while on campus?
That's a really good question. I think it's dependent on the student and the family. Meeting with a financial aid officer is always important. Understanding what the process might look like, the timeline of when documents need to be submitted is really, really important. I always tease that your admissions counselor can play that role very, very well as you transition into school. There's a lot of people that you need to know. There's a lot of deadlines and timelines. And the one component that an admissions counselor brings all together is that timeline of when do you need to turn things in for financial aid, for registering for classes, for the enrollment process, instead of getting 3 or 4 different calendars. Now, it is really, really important, though, to get to know your financial aid office. So I will not say you shouldn't do that. It just depends on where you and your family are at the initial point that you're visiting campus.
Thank you, Emily. All right, so we're about at time. I want to thank Emily for joining us today. Emily, do you want to share the web address in case anybody would like to speak with you more or visit, learn more about the University of Montana?
Absolutely. Thank you again for having me. You can actually reach me personally. My phone number is going to be 406-243-6268 is my direct line. You can also find us at admissions.umt.edu. So admissions.umt.edu for more information.
All right, and you can connect with us on the Native Pathways team on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And so thank you for joining us today. Please visit our website, collegefund.org, download our Native Pathways College Going Guidebook, print them, share them, whatever, send them to people that could use the resource. And I want to thank Leah and Jackie for joining us also today. Thank you for your time, guys. Have a good rest of your Tuesday.